All right, everyone, it being 12 o'clock, we are going to move into our meeting. And as usual, we start with introductions, and you lead the way.
Good afternoon, I'm Lisa Ugansky. I am a registered dietitian with the Ottawa County Department of Public Health, and I coordinate Ottawa Food, which is our food policy council for the County of Ottawa.
Thank you.
Jim Story, Elgin County Commission.
John Kleinick, Road Commission, Elgin County.
Terry Neenheis, South Township.
Tom Elhart, Road Commission.
Jerry Hunsberger, Park Township.
Hannes Myers of the MACC.
David Van Genhoven of the MACC.
Tim Bergman with the MACC.
Nancy DeBoer, City of Holland.
Kevin Kleinstra, City of Zealand.
Linda Howell, Laketown Township.
Brad Slaw. I represent the 90th district, which is Holland, Zealand, Hudsonville.
Russ Slaw with the MACC Authority Board.
Glenn Nykamp, Zealand Township.
Ken DeWeer, Fillmore Township.
Kelly Goward with the MACC.
Judy Vischer with the MACC.
Carolyn Alston with the MACC.
Rob Fink with the MACC.
Harpan Lobo with the Holland Sentinel.
Thank you very much. Before we get to public comment, we have the minutes before us, so I would take a motion on approval of minutes.
Will we adopt the minutes as presented?
Thank you, Jerry. Second, Kevin. Clarifications? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Welcome, Tom Elhart. Nice to see you. Certainly a familiar face in Zealand. And Brad Slaw as well. We welcome you and appreciate your attendance today. So I would open the floor to you if you want to make any comments.
I'll make it really simple. I had something else cancel, and this was back up on my calendar. I'm like, this would be a perfect time to go there because I'm supposed to be in district anyway. So here I am. I'm looking forward to hearing where you guys are headed and what's going on.
Good. Appreciate you being here, Brad, very much. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it, right?
No, that's it.
Okay. Today, our presentation is by Lisa Ugansky, and you're going to talk about Ottawa food.
Good afternoon. Like I just said, my name is Lisa Ugansky, and I have the honor of being the coordinator of Ottawa Food. And if you haven't heard about us before today, hopefully you'll know lots more before I leave. To give you a little bit of background about Ottawa Food and who we are and what we do, we're a collaboration of over 45 agencies and individuals in Ottawa County. We continue to grow. It's really exciting, working to ensure access to healthy, local, affordable food for Ottawa County residents. We formed in 2011. We were previously the Ottawa County Food Policy Council. And when you have a name like Ugansky and then you have to say Ottawa County Food Policy Council, people are done listening to you by the time you finish your first paragraph. So we were excited to shorten to Ottawa Food to make it a little of a less threatening, more public-facing title. We worked with a marketing firm a few years ago, but we have been in existence since 2011. One thing I really want to get across today is that all of our work is data-driven. So everything that we do, all of the decisions that we make, all of the strategic planning and the priorities that we focus on are all based on data that we have collected, either at data that's been collected that we haven't collected that maybe is from the federal or the state level, but also a lot of county level data that's collected through the local health department and other agencies like United Way, as well as our local schools. And then we collect some of our own data as well. Our vision is an available supply of well-balanced meals for all. And so again, we are really looking at how we can increase access to food that's healthy, food that's affordable, and oftentimes when possible, food that's local, because we want to be stimulating our local economy at the same time. And I know that you all know that we have so many local growers and farms in Ottawa County. We try to take advantage of that as much as possible. So I was talking about a lot of that data, and I'm going to go through this pretty briefly, but this is some recent data through Feeding America that will bring us down to the county level. We have about almost 24,000 food insecure residents in Ottawa County, a rate of about 8.4%. When we look at children, the rate's a little bit higher, almost 11%, and we have about 7,500 food insecure kids in the county. When we look at teens, when we dive in a little more deeply, it's more concerning. Our Ottawa County Youth Assessment Survey shows us that 1 in 5 minority teens go hungry. And when we look at our county data from our health department surveys that we do, in 2017, only 17.6% of adults and it was actually less than 30%, 26.5% of kids are consuming the recommended 5 or more fruits and vegetables a day. And when we looked at our data from about 3 years ago, for example, with kids, it was closer to 32% of kids were consuming 5 or more fruits and vegetables. And so we're continuing, unfortunately, to see those numbers go in the wrong direction. And with fruit and vegetable consumption, it doesn't matter which quadrant of the county you live in. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter if your family can afford to put food on the table or you can't. We see overall many people that are failing to meet the recommendations for fruit and vegetable consumption. A few things I want to talk about because I'm often asked, really? There's food insecurity in Ottawa County? People are hungry? Like, I know people are hungry in Kent County. I know people are hungry in Allegan County, Muskegon County, but really we have food insecurity in Ottawa County? And I've been asked 2 or 3 times already this year, our unemployment rate is so low, which is a great thing. You know, why do we still have to feed families? And so just a couple things I wanted to point out. You're probably all familiar with this term, but just in case anyone isn't, when we look at our ALICE population, ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Yet Employed. So we are talking here about individuals that are working and that are not making enough money to live in the communities where they're working. So it's people that are earning more than the federal poverty level, but less than the basic cost of living for Ottawa County. So it's that gap in the middle. So again, while the county's unemployment rate was 3.3% in 2017, the rate of households living in that ALICE threshold that I mentioned is 22%. And then when you think about the fact that additional 9% of households in Ottawa County live in poverty, when you put that 22 and that 9% together, we're looking at 31%. So pretty close to a third of households in Ottawa County that are struggling to keep up with the basic cost of living here, which directly then relates to food security and food access issues, as you can imagine. This is probably hard to see, but you've probably seen the ALICE data. If you haven't, I'd be happy to get the information for you, but I just wanted to point out these green arrows here are, when we look at the county broken down by municipality, I put green arrows next to the town or the municipalities that have 40% of their population or more living within that ALICE threshold. And those, as you can imagine, are communities where we see quite higher needs with food security and food access. And again, this isn't to be pitting any municipalities against each other or saying one is worse than the other. It's just truly looking at an area of need, and we're really trying to increase awareness about this. For example, for the city of Zeeland, when you combine people that are in the ALICE threshold and people that are living in poverty, it's 51% of households in the city. So to talk a little bit more about Ottawa Food, so we take that data and we put together a strategic plan every 3 years. We're in our 3rd iteration now of 3-year strategic plans. And right now we're just in year 1 of this plan, but we're really working in 3 major areas. We're working to eliminate hunger. We're working to encourage healthy eating by everyone in the county. And we're also working to increase the sourcing of local food, to support our local growers, to help connect people to their community, make people feel more comfortable, more welcome at local farmers markets, and helping people access road stands and other places where they can access local food. A lot of the initiatives that we run use local food whenever possible to, again, increase the number of Ottawa County residents who have enough food to eat, as well as to encourage the consumption of fruits and vegetables to hopefully get people up to meeting those recommended number of servings. The first thing I wanted to point out in terms of initiatives and things that we do, and I know I can't go very far, but I'm going to hand this to you, if you don't mind passing these around. Take as many as you want. If you have people that might be interested, or maybe you want to have some for constituents, we have a Find Food database website. And these cards direct you right to our website. I'm not going to go there today because I don't have enough time. I could talk all afternoon, but I know you guys have other things to talk about and other things to do. But we have a Find Food database on our website. It is searchable by zip code. It is searchable by date. So if I was someone that was living in the city of Zeeland and I needed to look for food today, I could go on our website. I could put in the date or I could put in the zip code, and I'm going to get a list of mobile food trucks, local food pantries, meals, congregate meals, free meals. In the summer, we have our summer meals for kids listed. They just were taken down on Friday because school's back, right? It's meetup and eat-up sessions are done for the summer. But clients will also find eligibility requirements, required documents. We have something called a Consumer Advisory Committee. So I meet 4 times a year with residents in the community that are doing just that. They're using some types of food resources to access their food. And we talk with them about what do they need? How can we help them more? How can we make the initiatives that we have more efficient? And we've often been told, you know, I get somewhere and I didn't realize I needed to bring this document, or I didn't know I needed this to be eligible. So we try to add as much to our database on our website as we can. And so the more you can do to lead people here, if they might need help with food, the better. So it is the most widely searched thing on our website. We have lots of other resources, but the Find Food database is the most used. But I also wanted to point out, because I still get the questions, well, what about if people don't have internet or don't have a computer? A lot of people don't have a computer. Many have a phone, and we are mobile compatible, so people can easily search from their phone. But we also know there are people that either don't want to use the internet or just don't have access. So we also put out these brochures twice a year. We update these because the sad thing about printing is the second we print them, somebody changes their food pantry hours or their dates or what have you. But we do have these available, but on a much more limited basis. So if you have an interest in these or want these for some clients, I used to pass these out like crazy, but people like to hand out this more than our little cards. And this doesn't cover nearly as much as what people can find on the website because we can be changing that all the time. So these are available. I also have a stack in Spanish that I'm going to send around. I wanted to wait a few minutes because they look the exact same. It's just all in Spanish because our website, can I hand you that stack, is available in Spanish as well. People just click the button at the top and it will switch it to Spanish. So if you have some constituents that might benefit from having the material in Spanish, feel free to take those as well. Another one of our initiatives is Meet Up and Eat Up. You may be familiar with the meal program. The federal funding for the funding for Meet Up and Eat Up is federal funding, and it basically provides reimbursement to providers who provide meals to kids in the summer. So in Ottawa County right now, it just wrapped up last week, but we had 36 sites this past summer throughout the county where kids could come, anyone 18 and under, for free lunch, and in many of these areas, activities. And Tim pointed out to me earlier that this group, and will you mention what you said the name of it was so I don't?
So the Community Enhancement Program that was started out of the MACC funds initiatives to, support efforts or activities or programming in the community, just some of the resources that we have here in beautiful West Michigan. But one of the programs that was funded this past fall was to support the museum in their efforts to provide a cultural enrichment component to the Meet Up and Eat Up program. And there were 2 sites in particular, one in Park Township and one in Holland Township, where they did just that. So that was one connection for this group to that program that I pointed out earlier.
Thank you. So Ottawa Food, we work to do all of the coordination, the promotion. We have some sites in the county for Meet Up and Eat Up that just do meals, but we also know that if there's activities for kids, we have a lot more participation. So we try really hard to find different groups, and that's one great example for the museum to come in. We've partnered with the Sheriff's Department. We've had local hospitals come in, just lots of different groups coming in and doing things with kids so that there are activities going on as well. And this is just a couple pictures of places all over the county. Sometimes we've got different books for kids to read, but we've really worked hard and we're trying to spread the message that this program is for anyone 18 and under, regardless of income. We don't ask for proof of income. And the more kids that come from a variety of socioeconomic status, the less stigma is attached to the program and the better participation we see. And so we try really hard to promote this program and get the word out that anyone 18 and under can come for a free lunch. Like I said, it's been very successful. We're continuing to serve more meals every single year. We just had someone ask us a few weeks ago, why isn't there a program in Allendale? Well, we didn't have interest before then, but now we have a county commissioner and a school principal and some teachers that are looking to get a site set up next year in Allendale as well. So we pretty much will be representing every school district, I want to say, by next year in the county with meetup sites through the summer months. Double Up Food Bucks is another program I wanted to mention real quickly, because unfortunately so many people still don't know that it happens and what goes on. It's a program where people can shop using their bridge card at most farmers markets in the county. So bridge card is the SNAP, or what was formerly the food stamp program. So if someone has a bridge card, we've done work since 2012 to help get bridge cards accepted at most of the major farmers markets in Ottawa County. The nice thing about Double Up Food Bucks is it provides a free match. So if I went to the Holland Farmers Market this Wednesday and I said I wanted to shop with $20 on my bridge card, I'm going to walk away with $40 in value, $40 in tokens to shop at that farmer's market. And you can get up to a $20 match per day. And so if I've had a lot of seniors say to me, I only get $16 on my bridge card for the month. Why would I go to the farmer's market when I only get $16 a month? Well, if they wanted to shop and just spend $4 at the farmer's market, they're gonna walk away with $8 at the market. So no matter what they spend, it's gonna double their shopping power up to $20 a day. So we do have some people that go every Wednesday, every Saturday, put $20 on their bridge card, and they walk away with double that in value to shop. It's a win-win program because we're keeping a match with those federal funds. So they're using their bridge card at the market, but that double match value that they're getting, that money is going directly to our local growers right here in Ottawa County. Because that match money can only be spent on Michigan-grown fresh fruits and vegetables. So it's a huge win-win for our growers as well because they're bringing in that extra income. No registration is required. I often get asked that question. Oh, it took so long to register for my bridge card. I don't want to have to register for another program. If they have a bridge card, they're already signed up. So it's simple. More information about Double Up Food Bucks is available at our website as well. Senior Project Fresh is another program I wanted to point out that we work on. We provide qualifying older adults with $20 in vouchers to purchase unprocessed Michigan-grown produce, and this is both at farmers markets and farm stands. Another win-win, we bring in money from different agencies that want to help us support this program. And then these senior citizens that are 60 or older with a total household income of 185% or less of poverty can go to the market and shop with those vouchers. And again, that money can only be spent on Michigan-grown fruits and vegetables. So it's another great program supporting our local growers. This year we distributed vouchers to 300 senior citizens. Evergreen Commons and 4 Points in Ottawa County distribute the vouchers as well, but Ottawa Food is focused on many seniors that receive commodity food programming that are living in low-income senior centers and senior apartments, and so that's where we do most of our distribution. A couple other things I wanted to point out. We have a program called the Ottawa Food Produce Donation Program. Hopefully some of you have heard about it before, but we partner with our local farmers markets. So again, the Spring Lake, Grand Haven, and Holland participate this year. And basically what we do is we go out and our member agencies set up a table and we encourage shoppers that are there that day, if they're interested, to purchase a little extra, donate it. We have it in the hands of people at food pantries within about 24 hours. Last week in Holland, we go every single Wednesday. One of our member agencies is there. Last week I got a report back of 240 or 260 pounds of food donated just in the 1 4-hour segment that we were there. What we see happening now is it's not just shoppers anymore that are purchasing more and donating to us, but a lot of our growers are seeing people shopping with these green bags, and our growers are realizing, wow, people are buying more because of this produce donation program. You know, we're benefiting. They're coming over at the end of the day and giving us some of their extras as well. And so the last few weeks it's been about 2/3 private donations and 1/3 donations from the growers that are at the market. And then in Grand Haven and Spring Lake, we're there somewhat more sporadically, but our schedule of the dates and times that we're there are on our website as well. Ooh, what did I just do? Oh, got it, sorry. And so again, here's the top picture. This is in Grand Haven. That Love Inc. was the agency that was there that day. You can see all the food that was donated. Further over to the right, you can see this line of senior citizens that wraps around. We were at one of our lower income senior apartment centers to come through later and get the produce. They were thrilled. Down below is one of our, I think this was the Holland Salvation Army. They take it back, they repackage it, and this has shows you the fresh produce on the shelves at the food pantries. So in 2018, we brought in about 620 pounds of produce in Holland, at Grand Haven, and in Holland, we brought in just over 700 pounds. However, last year at the Holland Market, we weren't there every week, but the market master came to me over the winter and said, would Ottawa Food like to be at the market every Wednesday next year? Because I have people coming up to me now saying, where do I go today to donate that produce? And it was a day that we weren't there, which is a beautiful thing, right? So we're now there every Wednesday, and we expect those numbers to increase accordingly. One other thing I wanted to mention is our Pick for Pantries program. This is a pretty simple, straightforward program, but we partner with some of our local U-Pick farmers in the county. So we partner with Visser Farms, Bowerman's, Crossroads Blueberries, a couple of our apple growers, Rash Orchards, and we promote this on social media like crazy, and we just encourage people on certain dates to go out to their U-Pick farms, pick a little bit extra, donate it back, and again, we have it in the hands of a local food pantry within about 24 hours. The beauty with this program is even when fresh produce is donated to food pantries in the summer months, it's almost always tomatoes, zucchini, right? All of those things that, which are all great because they're fresh and healthy, but very, very rarely do we see fresh fruit on the shelves of a food pantry, and it flies off the shelves. So our strawberries, our blueberries, apples, it's been a really great program. So I focused a lot on what we do on the healthy eating, on the hunger and the local food side. I just wanted to touch quickly on healthy eating because like I mentioned, our Facebook page, or I didn't mention, we have a Facebook page, but also on the website that came around on those little cards. We have lots of links to different recipes, soon we'll have cooking videos up. We have links to other websites that provide information about healthy eating. We promote classes in the community and different things that are happening related to healthy eating. We also find that with busy schedules these days, a lot of people don't want to show up for another class maybe in the evening on cooking, but the more we can do to get this information out on social media and to get this information to people in places where they're already at, the more likely we are to engage with people and to provide them with resources that they need to know how to make healthier food choices. And so we're doing a lot more outreach with community members at convenient places. So at grocery stores, we've done tours of grocery stores with doctors and with other health professionals. We're meeting parents in schools now when they're at back to school sessions and things like that. A lot of work with food pantries and mobile food trucks. Again, meet up and eat up sites that I mentioned earlier. We'll do nutrition education with kids in the summer at these sites. Work sites as well. So we've done some cooking classes and some education for people at work, whether it's a lunch and learn or whether it's something that's provided in the break room. And we're starting a brand new partnership with Ottawa County Parks very soon. So Ottawa Food will be incorporating some healthy eating education and outreach into some of the walking programs that go on through the Ottawa County Parks. That's a wrap up. Does anyone have any questions for me related to, and hopefully I stayed within my, again, I could talk forever. Hopefully I stayed within my time limit. But I really encourage, if you have any questions or if you want to learn more, visit our website. If you can't find what you're looking for on our website, you can contact me. My contact information is on our website. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to allow me to be here. And anything that we can do, again, to help increase access to healthy, local, affordable food for people in Ottawa County, we're willing to be involved in that work. So if you have thoughts or needs or things that come up from maybe some of your constituents, from other community members, feel free to reach out to me because, again, our membership continues to grow and we really value cross-sector partnerships to meet our vision. So, any questions?
Thank you for all your work. I love the way that you feed body and mind with the kids with the Meet Up and Eat Up program. And I don't know if you can grow that message so it's not just a charity thing. You know, you're also increasing education through the summer months when it's easy for kids' brains to atrophy. So That's a great effort. Thank you.
The more you guys as well can do to help us get the word out that this is a program for any children 18 and under. We're going to be intentionally working to do more work to bring teens in over the next few years, because even with our really high numbers and the numbers of sites increasing, we usually see kids that are probably 10 or 11 and under, and we know that many teens are hungry too, and so we're going to try with a little bit more intentionality over the next couple years to be focusing more on teens and how we can get more teens involved. But absolutely, thank you for that feedback.
And working with the parks too, that's a great way. Maybe the teens would be interested more in that.
Yeah, we have right now through the Step It Up walking program, there's about 1,300 Ottawa County residents that are signed up to come for group walks and things like that. And so we figured while they're standing there stretching, for example, we could be incorporating some healthy eating messages and things to places where people already are. So,
What percentage would you estimate that philanthropy plays in the level of success that you can have as an organization in this area?
oh goodness, probably 80 to 90%. That's one thing I didn't mention. Ottawa Food, we are not a 501c3. We are just sort of a collaboration of people, a group, and we do receive from time to time federal funding, but overall the budget that we work off of is from Ottawa support from the County of Ottawa through the Department of Public Health. They fund my position to coordinate Ottawa Food. And we've been told time and time again through surveys that this group would not be nearly as successful as it is without that coordinator position. Not me necessarily, but a paid funded position to coordinate all of this work that goes on. So if the county didn't provide that, but otherwise it's private donations, it's corporate sponsorships, we received a Michigan Health Endowment funding grant through the Grand Haven area and the Holland Zealand Foundation 2 years ago for $100,000, and that was our huge working budget for a couple years. But otherwise, it's really donations and sponsorships. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Well, thank you. I mean, everybody knows it's a problem, but you need a way to handle it in an organized manner, and just appreciate all your work. And I love the clarity of your logo, and just going to Ottawa Food, it's just clean.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but we had a call a few weeks ago in Muskegon. They're looking to start something similar, and they want to call it Muskegon Food. And they're trying to build off of some of the work we're doing, which is great. And because we know that these issues won't be solved eventually without some regional collaboration as well. And so I love trying to keep the simple name and working together collaboratively. So we know that everyone doesn't just live and work and exist in their county boundaries. So
Have you connected with, I'm sure you have, Kids Food Basket and...
Yeah. I sit on the board for kids, or the advisory board for the Kids Food Basket in Holland, and then also Hand to Hand Ministries. I'm on their board, and so we collaborate a lot of those projects as well.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your leadership.
Thank you guys very much.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. We worked for a few months together trying to find a spot on one of our agendas where we could fit to have her come and make a presentation, and we got a little bit lighter of an agenda this month, so it worked out well. And she came to us through Mayor Kleinstra. He made the connection, so it worked out that we happen to be here in the host city side of Zeeland. But our tagline says that we're a regional cooperative effort of units of government to work on areas of or area-wide concern issues. And so this, certainly transportation and the watershed are our primary focus points, but this also, I think, fits into that. And when I met with each of you kind of early on in my time here, I heard that theme again and again of, as long as we're together, it'd be nice to do something more or hear of something more. And I think being aware of groups like Ottawa Food and being able to advocate for them certainly fits in that effort as well. So to that end, if you know of something or somebody comes to you and you think it would be a good fit for our group, please let me know and we'll work with them to get them on the agenda. And then two, one other quick plug. You heard about the Community Enhancement Program again. Our next meeting is on September 11th. And so if you know of an effort where it would be a good use of community enhancement funds, either point them to me or to our website, and folks can get connected that way as well. So thank you, Lisa.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Very interesting. As he said, we do focus really on watershed transportation, but I really enjoy having perspectives on other issues. So Brad, that's kind of also for you to know that we do focus really watershed transportation. We do talk about road funding quite a bit, so maybe not today, but at some point we would love to have you back and share that. And if any members have thoughts about it at the end of the meeting, maybe you can take those away too. So.
Brett Laughlin has a great presentation on the governor's plan and what these guys are working with.
Then I think we ought to have him in. We'll do that.
And I would concur that that is a really interesting presentation, because it comes from a perspective of how does those dollars, however they come and where they come from, how does that really impact the county? So I would encourage you to see that.
We'll put that on the agenda. We'll invite you too. So. Okay. Do you want to introduce Rob, or are you ready to roll?
I think he's ready to roll. So.
All right. Rob, you're up. There he is.
It's been a while since I've been up here, so I have to kind of remember what I'm doing here too. So, all right, we'll get right into it and talk about agriculture. Yeah, I'd mentioned it's been a while. So, you probably remember this spring had quite a bit of water. It's pretty wet. I'm sure John can probably attest to that. You know, planting season was a little bit delayed this year. So the USDA reports with the prevented planting insurance claims that there are 19.4 million acres of insurance claims this year. That does not include acres that were not planted and didn't have an insurance claim on it. In 2018, there was a lot of talk about how bad that was. 2018, there was only 2.14 million. To give you an idea of how bad 2019 was, 19.4 is quite a bit. So this is nationwide. This isn't just Michigan, but for perspective, in Michigan, 10 million acres of farmland in Michigan. So how did that relate to what we're doing here in the watershed? This year we were expecting a little over 1,000 acres of residue management to happen, and we only got about 215 acres of those actually planted. So left a little bit of money on the table here for us. Similarly with gypsum, only 31 acres of gypsum applied this spring. So it was pretty rough. So what we did, we had a little bit of money left over. Kelly made a request to our grant administrator to include the South Branch sub-watershed as a funded area. And so with that, we were able to pick up quite a few more acres of cover crops. We're expecting a little more than 4,300 acres of cover crops. Some of that's being put in now, some of that will go in a little bit later. But yeah, it was good to hit that number. A little bit higher than what we were at last year. So our summer projects, cattle crossing. This is a Zeeland Township project through the Great Lakes Commission. We're at a little bit of a standstill with this. We submitted applications to the county. The county got our soil erosion control permit approved. The permit for the Eagle, their former Department of Environmental Quality, they wanted to see a revision on some of the plans. So we made that change, resubmitted, and we still haven't heard back yet. 3 grass waterways also being done in Zeeland Township, funded through the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. 3 of them are finished. The other 1 waterway in Overijssel Township has equipment ready to go. I drove by on Friday. They've got the whole waterway staked out, so they are ready to go if they get dry weather. I don't think we had some rain here. I'm not sure if they had rain down there, but likely not starting on that today. So these are the waterways that we had constructed. A little different. Normally we don't try to bulldoze guys' corn over to put in a waterway. But this money, because it ends with the grant in December, we wanted to get it done. So you can see before they put the grass matting down, instead of rock check dams, we're seeing a lot of installations being done with these, I don't think these are the coconut ones, but they've got a fiber in there with a sock. Diamond sock is what they're called. Just helps slow down some of the water, trap some sediment. Lets these waterways get the grass established a little better. So this is one project that we had talked about, and when I went back and looked at the last time I'd stood up in front of you all, we had talked about these projects. So these are the iron slag filters. These, we have 3 of them installed with work through Project Clarity. 3 of them installed with Dykheis Farms. And you'll see here, whoops, I'll go back here. The way this is working here is there's a tile line that runs right along here and goes into the ditch. Water comes through the tile. down in here, you'll see it's going this way, and it's going to enter into this pipe right here, run through the filter, and then back out into the creek. So these are designed to eliminate 50% of the dissolved phosphorus coming in through the filter. That's the estimate now is about a 5-year lifespan. Grand Valley is monitoring these, this one, the other one, and then the third one that went in has an automated sampler in it. So these are Overijssel and right, oh boy, I can't think of the not 142nd, but yeah, Fillmore Road, right by more in the mill there.
Are they covered up now?
They are, yeah. So these are completely covered up. So they're covered about up to that level. So they're in the ground. They're in there quite a ways. But they're built in the concrete so that they can drop a vacuum truck down in there and suck up all of the iron slag that's in there. Pretty neat project. There's 4 of these in the state of Michigan, and 3 of them are here. So it was through Project Clarity, a company called Plant Tough has the product. It's an iron slag. It's a leftover product from some of the iron manufacturing. Plant Tough will come back. They'll suck the material out. They grind it, and then they use it as a fertilizer because it has the phosphorus in it. And the last thing we've got going on is September 5, Field Day at Smoligan Farms in Zeeland Township. This is a collaboration between ourselves, Allegan Conservation District, Ottawa Conservation District, the meat programs. We, as of this morning, had 70 people signed up, which is exciting. We didn't quite know what to think or what to expect, but we've had pretty good response so far. And it's at Smoligan Farms. I talked to Jimmy Smoligan this morning, and he couldn't believe how many people had tracked him down at the Hudsonville Fair last week and questioned him about what was going on here. So pretty excited to see how the turnout is on that. If you have any interest in attending, we can get you a registration link, but we do ask that people register so we have enough food for everyone, which tends to be a problem with farmers sometimes. They like to show up. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, Rob? Sure. I'm just wondering, you mentioned Michigan has 10 million acres. Do you know what our percentage was, or the same as the country? And what is, in our group, what's our total acreage? Do you know agricultural?
In the watershed, do you remember this number? So we had this number kind of in mind, but it changes so much with the development that's happening.
Right, well, because the whole watershed is about 175 square miles, so it's about 55% of that is agriculture. So you can kind of do the math.
I can't do the math. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have all those
How many
numbers.
acres are in a square mile? That'd be helpful. I guess.
43,560.
What's with the cattle crossing in Zeeland Township? Is Glenn having cattle drives over there?
So it's on a dairy farm where the cows have unrestricted access to a stream, and it's been it was actually the second week that I started this job. I talked to him. Was the first conversation we had about this. So this has been a long time in the making, but it's been that relationship building. We didn't jump straight to a cattle crossing. We did some gypsum, and we've talked cover crops with these farmers, and finally pulled the trigger on getting this done.
No, but that's a good question, because I was going to ask you to clarify that for anybody that was unfamiliar or didn't remember. It's not about transporting the cows, but the 2 objectives of our work is to keep sediment and phosphorus out of the tributaries to Lake MACC. And so by restricting the cattle's access to this tributary, it also restricts the manure that would otherwise find its way.
There were cattle loafing in the stream, and then there were areas along the stream bank where they would clamber down and up and down and try to climb out, and quite a bit of bank erosion going on in this pasture also.
Russ, I don't know which number you were looking for. Were you looking for the prevented planting number? There was about 19% from the information I've received, about 19% of Allegan County never was planted, and about 21% of Ottawa County never was planted, what was intended. Is that the number you were looking for?
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Rob, very interesting. Love the pictures. Very helpful. Kelly?
doesn't look good. All right, well, I'll see what I can remember then without having actual slides. So the first thing I wanted to mention is the last year, you may remember, we worked with the Ottawa County Water Resource Commissioner's Office to submit a grant proposal to the state's 319 program to do some work in the Tulip Inter-County Drain, doing some bank stabilization, some floodplain shelves in there, doing some green infrastructure practices. That grant, we found out earlier this summer, was not funded, but with the project partners, we are looking at reapplying for that funding through the same program, the state's 319 program. So we recently submitted a notice of intent that we are going to apply for it again this year. We have some comments from the reviewers that we will work to address before we submit the full proposal.
I get that one at least. At least I have to remember the ones.
We're not ready for that one.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your help. So within the notice of intent, we just have to basically provide a brief description, and then they make sure that we're eligible to apply again. So some of the modifications that we're going to work towards, I mean, we still have the work itself in the Tulip Inter-County Drain, the stabilization, the floodplain shelves that were planned. We're going to have to do some refinement on that plan. We also are looking upstream. One of the reviewers or comments from the reviewers were that this stabilization is happening in the lower downstream end of the watershed, where we really need to look to do more work upstream. We have done a lot of work upstream. This is the North Branch, is the Tulip Inter-County Drain. It's the same watershed. So we need to do a better job at explaining the work that we've already done. Plus, we've identified maybe a few other potential agricultural projects. So we're looking at including that. And then also working with the Allegan County Drain Office in the Kuipers Drain. So the way that the drain travels, it's the north branch of the MACC River. For a portion, it's called the Tulip Inter-County Drain. Another portion is called the Kuipers Drain. So the Kuipers Drain is under the sole jurisdiction of Allegan County. The Tulip Inter-County is under an inter-county jurisdiction of both counties. So we'll work both with the Tulip Inter-County Drain Board and with the Allegan Drain Commissioner's Office on kind of separate projects, but within the same proposal, and then have an agricultural component. So that's what we are intending to submit. The full proposals are due October 11, so we'll provide more detailed information at that meeting. This application will be under the name of the Ottawa County Water Resource Commissioner's Office. We will be a subcontractor as part of that. So there won't be any action required by this body to authorize us to accept a grant agreement or anything like that. So again, more information will be coming when we put the full proposal together, but any questions on that for now? Okay. The second thing I wanted to provide a little update on was the Green Infrastructure Seminar that we had on August 15. So that's what the pictures are from, and I'll describe them in a minute. And see, my previous slide had the details. I believe we had 63 total people attend, 11 speakers, 8 exhibitors, 2 sponsors for the whole event. We covered topics of coastal resiliency, the Green Infrastructure Champions Program, which is a program of the Great Lakes Commission, Ottawa County groundwater, green infrastructure practices that can be used for groundwater recharge, and then we had a panel discussion of case studies of green infrastructure projects that have happened in the Grand Rapids area. So here's a few shots here. So here, Tim was the MC for the day and peppered tree jokes throughout.
A lot of positive feedback on that portion.
So yeah, maybe he'll tell some during his executive committee report. But because it's really hard to find stormwater jokes, but trees are part of green infrastructure. So
I looked.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the speakers took that as a personal challenge to make some green infrastructure jokes. So we'll see what he comes up with for next year. So here's kind of a shot of some of the exhibitors that were present during the event. And then something else that we did this year that I think also got really great feedback is after lunch we had these activity rotation stations. So we just took a half hour after lunch and we had 3 stations that participants rotated through. So here we were at the Civic Center place, so you may recognize where this area is. So these are some staff from the Grand Valley Metro Council, and they played a game of Green Infrastructure Jeopardy with participants. And then we had two kind of table displays here from the West Michigan Environmental Action Council. So these are some activities that they typically do with kids. So they were kind of demonstrating these activities that they do with children and as a way to kind of promote those activities. But these here are different, simulating different surfaces of the ground as far as how does water infiltrate versus run off. So they had some to collect either water that infiltrated or water that ran off the surface to kind of compare those. And then this is a tabletop stream model that can simulate different scenarios of like a parking lot versus a wetland and what happens to a stream when it rains. So again, very visual, very kind of hands-on, a way to get people up and moving around after lunch. So I think that was a lot of fun for participants. This group here was really the most rowdy, playing Jeopardy. So. But yeah, I know some of you were there. I don't know if anybody else has comments about the event that participated. But we will get the evaluations are rolling in, and we will certainly plan on hosting another seminar next year. So that is all I have, unless there are questions.
Kelly, that was a really well-organized event. You did a terrific job with that. Nancy, you're shining bright in Highland. That's a wonderful facility there. So I'm there for the farmers market, and I was there for that. It really was wonderful. And Tim, you have David Letterman-like qualities. You get people to laugh at bad jokes.
It's a skill. Yeah.
Not many can pull that off, but you do it.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. He too is from Indiana. So.
There you go. That's probably it. Thank you, Kelly. Carolyn, welcome.
Good afternoon. Today I'm going to go over our 2045 long-range plan. Last month I did touch on this a bit, and it's kind of our intention that every month we'll give you a little bit of an update. And probably over the next 3 months, in your policy packets, we'll give you a few chapters that have been drafted from the document to kind of get your input on those chapters, so that at the end of the project, we don't give you all 15 chapters at once. So we're going to, over time, give you these updates on our 2045 long-range plan. So today's little update is on public input. I wanted to just kind of go over a little bit our it's our consultation effort versus our general public outreach. So consultations will be set up through our office. We're going to be meeting kind of one-on-one with different providers like freight providers. We'll want to meet with public safety from the cities. We also want to talk to Ottawa and Allegan County sheriffs as well. Fire, that kind of department. Consultations are kind of this one-on-one sit down with different groups. We'll be meeting, for instance, with Pedal Holland, League of Michigan Bicyclists when we go over the non-motorized plan, for instance. So if there's a specific chapter where we need some of that really targeted feedback, that's where we're going to go and kind of have that really personal, sit down half hour, really talk through some things. On the general public side, we're going to be really promoting our online survey so we can get public feedback. We're also going to try to go out into the community a little bit to get that feedback from regular people, residents. I always say that you're your own expert on the roads that you drive. So the three roads that I drive every single day, I know all the issues that I could see that what I would love to fix. But I don't live where maybe you live. So you ride on a different set of roads every day and have a different perspective. So this is all about getting that public perspective because we're all our own experts. And we will be, I just had a meeting with Boys and Girls Club. So often in plans like this, kids are left out. with their viewpoints. And their view of the world is very valid and needs to be taken into account. So we're going to hopefully do a program with Boys and Girls Club this fall. So I think all 3 of their locations, all the age ranges that they serve, get their feedback. So with the older kids that are in high school, we'll probably actually do a mapping project because a lot of them are traveling themselves on their own and have a really good knowledge of where things are, whereas the littles might not be able to recognize a map as much. So with the younger kids will be, even maybe some art activities of draw your perfect street, or, how do you get to school? How do you go to your friend's house? Stuff like that. So we're going to be involving children as well. For the online survey, you have cards in front of you, and on the back of that card, there's a link to our survey. The survey doesn't change too much. We do every 4 years with this plan, we have the survey. We try to keep it kind of consistent. This time around, we did add a few more questions, but if you remember it from 4 years ago, there's some similar questions there so that we can track changes over time. The survey takes about 8 minutes. So SurveyMonkey, for the people who've already taken, they've given us a nice estimate of time. So if you have 8 minutes today, if you haven't already, I'd love for you to take the survey. We'd love to have your feedback. And then also, if you have anyone that you represent that would also, please share it on social media or your newsletters. That'd be fantastic. We also, with the help of LAUP, Latin Americans United for Progress, they translated the survey for us into Spanish. So through our website, we also have a link to the Spanish, and again, we'll be targeting through social media and different locations on how to get the Spanish survey out as well. And here's just what the survey looks like online. This is the Spanish version, but they look the same for both of them. Oh yeah, and there's the card. Just to give you a broad overview of the timeline, what you can expect. For the next 3 months, essentially, we'll be working on the chapters, kind of the meat of the document itself. And then early November, MDOT is going to run their emissions model. So this is required for every long-range plan. All of our capacity projects, anything that's widening or reducing in lanes, should get added into this model. So Ottawa County, for instance, they already gave us their list of projects, and from that, anything that's adding or reducing capacity for cars will go into this model, and that should be really interesting. It shows us where we might have some bottlenecks and some congestion of traffic in our area. So MDOT will do that in the fall, and then after that, we'll also go into the actual emissions itself, which there's another department at MDOT that will look at air quality related to the model itself. Early December is when the tech committee will see the draft document of the long-range plan. So hopefully by early December there, we'll have pretty much it ready to go. And early January, so we have that January 13th meeting. The date is changed a little bit because of the holidays. So our December and January meeting for us is combined. So January is when you should be seeing the draft document. And then once the draft is out, we'll be holding the official public open house in January after the policy meeting. So it's before the final tech meeting in February, where the final draft will be, the final document will be compiled and then voted on by tech. And then similarly, February 24th will be our policy date, and we will be bringing the final document to you. So we have about 6 months until that date, and we're on this particular timeline because our main target is April 27th. So we have to have about 2 months in between the February and this April 27th date, since this document has to get moved through FHWA and also EPA. So we need to get a air quality conformity analysis by EPA and FHWA by that date, so our plan doesn't lapse, because 4 years ago that was the date we voted on our policy or voted on this plan. So we think, yep, they said about 2 months should be good. So that's how we came to this timeline, as really that end deadline of April 27th. So yeah, any questions? this. All right, fascinating stuff. But again, you'll see me mention this probably every month, and by next month you should have a few chapters to look over and read. Okay.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay.
So at this point in the agenda, we usually hear from MDOT. I don't think anybody's here from MDOT today, but it was mentioned the Transportation or Road Summit was held last Monday night. Representative Slaa, is there any update you can share from that, or anything that was a highlight?
Highlights. Let's see. Highlights would be that 40 people showed up, which is a great deal for just an open house kind of thing like that. I think our perspective is that the House said we really need to do a little deeper dive on what is happening with roads. there's been lots of suggestions in Lansing to have 2 meetings a week for 7 weeks. I think for a committee is unheard of, but they did it, and so lots of information came out. They've had lots of people at the table, including DEQ, which is not normally brought to the table up front. In fact, they were saying that this is the first time they've testified in front of the Transportation Committee ever in history. So they were interested in being a part of that. It is, the process, the procedures of trying to determine what do we do with roads and how do we make them better. Some interesting comments have come out of that process, like, well, we tried rubber in our asphalt 10 years ago, but we haven't done it since then. It didn't work all that great back then, but maybe things are different. Maybe chemically we can do this differently than we've done it before. So there's, I think, maybe a commitment by MDOT to look at some things differently. And there's really a commitment by the House and probably the Senate that we try and have somebody invested more in MDOT's board and processes, so that we're helping to give some guidance rather than just allowing them to run on their own.
Thank you for that. Any follow-up questions to that?
And there's also the consideration of whether we add another level of funding, whether that's going to be under the same formula that funding is put in now, or if it's going to be targeted to specific roads in areas that are way behind on paying for roads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'll speak to this and then you can correct me if I'm not going in the direction you were asking. The governor's proposal, 45 cents per gallon of gas, also came with a proposal that all of those dollars be allocated in a different way. So it would not go through the, is it PA 51 and 51? Is that what it really is? Which delineates how the funding goes and who gets the money today. The governor's proposal was that all of that 45 cents per gallon of gas would be funded to only the Michigan class roads or beyond, and would be able to be done by region. So it could be specified by region, so it would not go to everybody across the state. It would go to specific areas. And you can read that however you want. The House really read that as we're going to move money to places like Kalamazoo and probably the eastern side of the state of Michigan, southeastern side specifically. In my district, the road that showed that we would actually get money would be part of I-196 as it crosses through the county, and maybe M45. That would be in Ottawa County. That's it. And that doesn't feel very good because it's only an iffy thing. It's not certain, or at least the funding mechanism we have, the PA 51, specifies how money is divided, and it goes to local units, all local units. So.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate it if you could get that through. I know the Michigan Municipal Board of Trustees voted to endorse this initiative, but there were definitely people around the table that said, if my constituents aren't going to see anything from this, it's going to be hard for me to continue to support it. So really appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Are you familiar with what just happened in Monroe County?
I do not know what just happened.
That's another interesting. Monroe County said they weren't going to take care of the M roads anymore, maintain them like Ottawa County does. We've been working with MDOT on those types of things, as you know. But MDOT, so Monroe County said we're not going to do that anymore because for various reasons. So MDOT just signed a contract with a firm out of Texas to maintain their MDOT roads, which is going to cost, by our estimates, by the Road Commission's estimates, $1.5 million more than what they were paying Monroe County to take care of those roads. That's before administration and oversight. Something you might want to look at if you're presenting to your town halls, because we've been in the same negotiations with MDOT. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brad. Appreciate you being open to discuss that today, so thank you. Tim, administrative issues.
All right, I'll run through these briefly. In your packet is the calendar for fiscal year 20 meeting dates. It's right around the corner. October 1 is the start of our fiscal year. So that shows the dates, which are typically the fourth Mondays as usual, but the two exceptions throughout the calendar year are the December-January meeting being combined. I'm proposing January 13th, which is actually the second Monday in January, and then the same thing, May and June. June 8th is the second Monday in June. So look those over, put them on your calendar. If there's an issue or conflict that you have, particularly if you're the host site, please let us know and maybe we can shuffle this around, but wanted to get that into your hands. Then the financial report, of course, is in your packet as usual. Revenues are at 77.5%, expenses are at 63%. Budget amendment will be coming to you next month just to reconcile things before the end of the fiscal year. And then the executive committee met on August 12th, and you'll see a summary in your packet. Two things to highlight. We had Emergency Services Working Group hold a strategic planning session, which Ottawa County Administrator Al Vanderberg was kind enough to facilitate. Great outcome. I think we've got some good goals and steps for that group. And then the other thing I'll note, it's probably the least exciting thing for you, but the employee handbook was told to me when I got here needed to be overhauled, and I've been working on that. So that will likely come to you at September or maybe October, depending on review. But I've got a solid draft of that I'm circulating through the executive committee. And so eventually that will come to this group and have you ultimately approve that. So if there's any questions on that, let me know.
That second Monday in January, sorry, we have a airport meeting that same day, I think.
Okay.
Jim and I both are on the airport meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if that could be switched.
Yeah, originally we were going to do it the week before, which would have been January, I think, 6th, right? Wondered if that was so close to the holidays, and then also with our timeline from the long-range transportation plan. But we'll look at that and see if we can adjust that and come back to you next month. Any other comments or questions?
Just like to thank Jerry Hunsberger, who has been diligent about making sure that the handbook was worked on, and among other things, Jerry has been very helpful in making sure those things were looked at. So,
yes.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for coming to Zeeland, and new things going on. Of course, the most talked about thing is the roundabout that we're putting in out on the west end of town. Everything seems to be going well. Unless you listen to Zeeland Informed on the Facebook page, and then we don't know what we're doing. But about the hardest, the thing that's caused the most problems is people being able to get the Big B coffee.
We are Americans.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, it's going well there. Hopefully the strike of the Reeve Riley will be done soon, so our paving will get done before winter time. We've had some new additions to our Huizinga Park across the highway. Some new pickleball courts put over there, some walking path. Right now they're in the process of putting in some new women's or girls softball fields, which will be comparable to the boys' baseball fields on Quincy Street at Jim Cobb Field. So Zeeland Rec is in charge of that actually, but Zeeland donated some money to it, and Gentex donated $200,000 to that. So, we've got, other than that, it's pretty slow. I had an interesting thing today. I had a visit from a foreign exchange student from Ukraine, and he came to my office, and you think that he's in a wheelchair, and he has something similar to MS. But anyway, you think that the ADA requirements, sometimes they're a pain to implement, but he was very impressed with our curb cuts that we have, that you can get down a curb. He said in Ukraine they have nothing like that. He lives in a 5-story apartment building. He has to go up the 5 flights of stairs on his hands, dragging his wheelchair as he goes up. So he says he tries not to make too many trips down there in a day, but he's still in school. He's a sophomore in school, sophomore in school this year. So he'll be going to Zeeland East. And buses also are not, if you do public transportation, no disability allowances for them. So again, he's very impressed with what we have here. He's impressed at how many cars people have. He says it's not that way in the Ukraine. He says it's all public transportation. So anyway, I digressed a little bit, but I thought that was kind of interesting that sometimes we overlook these things, that it's not that important, but for somebody like him, from where he came from, it is very important. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other member comments? Floor is open.
I have one other thing. Truck parade, Holland-Zeeland Truck Parade's this coming weekend, Monday, and in Zeeland it'll be taking a new route. Won't be going where it usually is straight through town to Chicago Drive, or they'll be turning on State Street. So if you know anybody that goes to the truck parade, tell them that if they come to Zeeland, it'll be taking a new route. But they'll have treats at the Civic Center, and get to listen to Nancy and I give a little speech.
Free ice cream, right?
Free ice cream.
And
That's
8 o'clock in the morning is the boardwalk too.
Oh,
So you can do both. You can start at the end of Hines and go all the way to Windmill Island Gardens, 3.9 miles of sweet community and great exercise. And then you can get a pancake breakfast at Windmill Island Gardens, and then go over to the Civic Center and catch the free ice cream. And 85 trucks, I think it's up to now.
Yep.
Huge, the biggest ever. Largest non-military convoy in the country.
Thank you, Kevin. Tom, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. And, Tim?
Well, if everybody else is done, I have one thing to close
Yes.
with. Okay. So our next meeting obviously is Port Sheldon, and then just wanted, as we're wrapping up and as you're packing your things up, to just close with a video that you could stick around for if you want or not. It's 2 minutes, but shows Mayor Kleinstra hard at work, and I think directly contradicts what he said about things being slow. So this is just for you to enjoy as we walk out, but we had it accessible, so I thought Kelly might as well play it. So, but thank you all for coming.
Give autographs after?
Yeah.